Hello everybody, and welcome back to another Game News Roundup. We are here to discuss the next generation of video game consoles, the PlayStation 6. I don't know why that was epic sounding. I know, PS6. Why are we talking PS6? Why is there anything on about it yet? There's not much on it. But it looks like, which is not really a surprise, the chipset will be by AMD, much like the PS5 and the PS4. And I can't remember the PS3. Which will have for backwards compatibility. But there's a report from Reuters, which actually we might as well just go directly from the source. Exclusive, how Intel lost the Sony PlayStation business. I mean, they already didn't have it before. Actually, let's zoom in a little bit more, right? So you guys can read this a little bit better. So, Intel lost out on a contract to design and fabricate Sony's PlayStation 6 chip in 2022. This is as of 2 years ago. So if you don't know, Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony, they release a new video game console. They almost immediately, very quickly, start thinking about the next console beyond that. Almost immediately. And then they slowly work on it, and then things get fine-tuned when you're, a year or two away from release. But yeah, apparently Intel lost out on a contract all the way back in 2022 for Sony's PS6, which dealt a significant blow to its effort to build its fledgling contract manufacturing businesses. This is according to three sources with knowledge of the event. So this is coming from three separate sources. The effort by Intel to win out over Advanced Micro Devices, better known as AMD, in a competitive bidding process to supply the design for the forthcoming PlayStation 6 chip and Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, as the contract manufacturer would have amounted to billions of dollars of revenue and fabricating thousands of silicon wafers a month. Two of the sources said. Thousands of silicon wafers a month? I mean, probably over its lifetime, 100 million? But yeah. Intel and not that I have knowledge, maybe it's multiple consoles worth on one silicon wafer. I really have no idea how that works specifically. If you do know, feel free. Add a comment down below. Intel and AMD were the final two contenders, unsurprisingly. I mean, who else was there gonna be if you're talking about a system on a chip? We're talking about CPUs. I don't think anyone else really does CPUs. And Intel now does do GPUs, but AMD has, I think Intel has better CPUs, but AMD obviously has got the much better GPUs, and NVIDIA has the best GPUs, but I don't think they really do CPUs. Anyways, they were the final two contenders in the bidding process for the contract. Winning the Sony PlayStation 6 chip design business would have been a victory for Intel's design segment and would have doubled as a win for the company's contract manufacturing effort or foundry business, which was the centerpiece of Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger's turnaround plan. If anyone's watched me for a while, I'm not always the best at pronouncing names, to say the least. The CEO announced plans for Intel to create a foundry unit in 2021 and formally launch it at an event in San Jose, California in February of this year. The PlayStation chip deal originated in Intel's design segment but would have been a boon to the financial performance of the foundry business after this year's separation. Details of the discussion on how Intel missed out on the contract for Sony's as yet unannounced next generation game console are reported here for the first time. Typically, Sony consoles sell more than 100 million units across... Okay. Well, before we continue this, let's go on. Let's just go here and looking at console sales. Yes, the PS2 is the best-selling console of all time, a little under 160 million so lifetime. PS4, 117 million, just over 117 million lifetime, and the PS1, 102.5 million lifetime. The PS3 is currently the only home console from PlayStation to not reach 100 million, excluding the PS5, which is currently selling and should have no problem selling over 100 million lifetime, even if it doesn't quite match the PS4's 117 million. The PS5 should at least... Sales are going down, and with its higher price, sales are definitely going down, but it should still have no problem crossing 100 million, probably getting to 110-ish million lifetime. But obviously they dropped the price, and if it has a longer lifespan, we'll get to that in a moment, it does still have a chance of reaching the PS4, but likely it will end up selling a little bit less. But it will be overall more profitable because of how expensive the console is, they're selling it as less of a loss. And yeah, then PS5 is about 60 million so far, lifetime. Just as a heads up, and also this is over the course of the PS2 was available for how long? I think it was in production for well over a decade. The PS4, there's very few units done, but most of it, the sales, most of its sales were over the course of 7 years, so a little more than half a decade, similar to the PS1 and PS3 and whatnot. But so yeah, just adding on to what they sell, more than 100 million units across a half a decade. It's usually by half a decade, they usually mean like 7 or 8 years. For a chip designer, the console business delivers a lower profit than the gross margins of more than 50% for products like artificial intelligence chips, but nonetheless represents steady business. Yeah, so you're talking about over 100 million sold. That's 100 million chips and whatnot from Intel that they could have sold, but now it looks like AMD has got the deal. Sony's business could also have helped boost Intel's contract manufacturing business, which now struggles to find big new clients. A dispute over how much profit Intel stood to take from each chip sold to the Japanese electronics giant blocked Intel from settling on the price with Sony, according to two of the sources. Instead, rival AMD landed the contract through a competitive bidding process that eliminated others, such as Broadcom, until only Intel and AMD remained. Discussions between Sony and Intel took months in 2022 and included meetings between the two companies' CEOs, dozens of engineers, and executives. In response to Reuters reporting to PlayStation 6 talks and Intel's failure to win the business, an Intel spokesperson said, "We strongly disagree with this characterization, but are not going to comment." Yeah, of course they're not going to comment about any current or potential customer conversations. We're very, very healthy customer pipeline across both our product and foundry business, and we are squarely focused on innovating to meet their demands. Sony and Broadcom did not respond, and AMD declined to comment. Not a surprise. Of course, the biggest thing is backwards compatibility. PS6 sticking with AMD makes backwards compatibility with the PS6 and PS5. Makes backwards compatibility with the PS6 to playing PS5 and PS4 games. Hopefully that made sense. Much easier. And yes, Sony announced last week the PS5 Pro. So yeah, we're talking about the PS6. But yeah, last week they announced the PS5 Pro, which is coming out November 7th for $700 US, 700 British pounds, 800 euros, 120,000 yen, and pre-orders are opening in a little over a week on September 26th. So yeah, no, the PS5 Pro was just announced, not even out yet, but we're talking about the PS6 here. Also of note, with the PS5 Pro coming out in 2024, the PS6 is likely not coming out until 2028 or 8 years after the PS5. Probably, most likely with the PS5 Pro coming out 4 years after the PS5. While if you're wondering, the PS4 came out in 2013, while the PS4 Pro came out in 2016. 3 years after the PS4, and then the PS5 came out in 2020, 7 years after the PS4, and 4 years after the PS4 Pro. So it feels like Sony might make the current generation of the PS5 a year longer than they... I mean, we'll see. You never know. But 2028 seems to make more sense to wait that extra year before they launch the PS6. And then Microsoft, we don't know exactly what they're doing. There are rumors that Microsoft, since they're not doing a mid-generation console... sorry, thank you for the following. If you're watching this on YouTube, I am live streaming this here on Twitch. But yeah, there are rumors with Xbox releasing the next generation console in 2026. But these are rumors. Who knows if they are going to release in 2026, if they end up doing so. We'll probably get an official announcement later on at the end of 2025 or probably early on in 2026. And there's different rumors. We'll see. Because that might be why Microsoft is not doing a mid-generation Xbox like they did last generation with the Xbox One X, or what Sony's doing with the PS5 Pro, and what they did last gen with the PS4 Pro. But we shall see. So keep an eye out. So yeah, backwards compatibility is a good reason for Sony to be sticking with AMD. So it makes the PS6 much easier to play PS5 and PS4 games. Similar to how big techs like Google and Amazon rely on outside vendors to help design and manufacture custom AI chips, Sony relies on experienced design contractors to make the processors for systems. Console chip designs typically try to ensure compatibility with earlier versions of the system, at least especially nowadays, to allow users to run older games on the new hardware. Moving from AMD, which made the PS5 chip, to Intel would have risked backwards compatibility, which was a subject of discussion between Intel and Sony engineers and executives, according to the sources. Ensuring backwards compatibility with prior versions of PlayStation would have been costly and taken engineering resources. Kind of like with the Xbox One when they added backwards compatibility with the 360. I believe it was some type of emulation. Because of the Xbox One was AMD chips and the 360 was NVIDIA. Which makes it a little bit harder to do the backwards compatibility to make the games run good. Anyways, allowing PlayStation users to play games they have purchased for older systems is a feature Sony has often includes in a next-generation system. Having missed the first wave of the AI boom dominated by NVIDIA and AMD, Intel reported a disastrous second quarter in August. Intel announced plans to cut 15% of its workforce to save $10 billion and has prepared a plan to reduce its capital spending on factory expansion. That was a cornerstone to its foundry strategy. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that about PlayStation 6. It was looking like Sony's going to be, according to 3 separate sources, looking like Sony will likely stick with AMD chips for the PS6. And as I mentioned, probably not until 2028. Holiday 2027 will be the earliest we'll see the PS6, because that'll be 7 years after the PS5 launch. And it feels like this current generation is taking longer to get in, to really build up, mainly because of the pandemic and how many games are still coming out for the last generation, which is a lot longer than we normally see. At least the number of games still coming out on the PS4 and Xbox One, or whatnot. But anyways, right. I was about to end it. We got one more thing to mention here because it wasn't quite enough to make its own video. But PlayStation co-CEO of Studio Business Group and Hideki Nishino, I'm sure I mispronounced that, an interview with Nikkei, translated by Video Games Chronicle, said consoles are going to remain the core of his business even as the company is releasing more of its games on PC with... I realized the game was killed immediately after 2 weeks is dead. But Concord launched day one on PC alongside its PlayStation 5 release. And most of their games over the last 4 or 5 years have been coming to PC with about 2 years-ish afterwards. With God of War Ragnarok, actually, the time of this recording is coming out this Thursday on PC, which is actually a little under 2 years from its PS5 and PS4 release. So yeah, the Sony co-CEO said, I think that with mobile devices, there are many games that show advertisements in PCs are difficult to set up, but with PlayStation, once you turn it on, you can experience the content you bought straight away. The store where you purchase software also offers an intuitive experience because the products are laid out in an easy-to-understand manner. Of course, mind you, there's Steam on PC. I do understand, fine, consoles remain the core of the business and PCs are harder, but you can buy pre-built PCs. More expensive, of course, and gaming laptops for like $1,000 nowadays, or $1,000 to $1,500 gaming laptops that are decently powerful. And obviously, you got the Steam Deck, which is, I believe, actually runs on Linux, not actually Windows, but basically is a portable PC, as well as the Rogue Ally. So yeah, anyway, Sony PlayStation co-CEO, because they have 2 CEOs now. We are trying to increase our share of the overall game market by developing content for PCs as well. There is no doubt that consoles will be at the core of our business, but by offering titles for platforms other than consoles, we will reach a wider range of customers, which is true. Me as a PC gamer, it is nice to be able to play all Xbox games at launch now, as well as PlayStation games. Usually now it's about a couple years after release. Of course, there are some PlayStation games that have yet to make their way to PC. Bloodborne being the obvious one. But yeah, as I mentioned here, PlayStation has started to release live service games day one. Me live streaming this, Dave and Chat can play it instantly. Man, I couldn't even turn on my new TV without a software update. Yeah, that's the thing about buying a console. Even the consoles, there are updates. You plug it in, it's going to have some type of software updates. You got to install the games and whatever, much like on PC. Steam is easy enough. I'm sure you can see down here, besides having Steam, we got the Xbox store, which is improving. You got the Epic store. You got GOG and Humble and a bunch of other stores available on PC. Yeah, there are other ones. I can't think of them. I think Ubisoft might have one, or Rockstar might have their own, or at least they did, or something or other. But yeah, again, PlayStation, live service games. Helldivers 2 is day and date on PlayStation and PC. Same with Concord, even though that has been killed. Yeah, but yeah, a lot of the games are about roughly 2 years now after they come out on consoles. They do make their way to PC. The single-player, narrative-driven campaign games. So yeah, I wanted to quickly mention that. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, as always, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you all next time for some more gaming news, gaming sales, and gaming industry information, which is kind of more what this video was about. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.